Hey guys, this is Alicia Podfic, and today we're going to be reading Date Night by D. Laugh. The summary is, Bruce has made the perfect plan for his first date with Selina. It does not go to plan. Alright, without further ado, let's hop right in. A movie, a bowling alley, no. A carnival, no. Bruce, the circus. Dick exclaimed excitedly, going so far as to reach over and grab Bruce by his shoulders. Bruce was sure Dick would have shaken him if Dick hadn't instead had the habit of climbing on him, as if Bruce had been the physical embodiment of monkey bars ever since childhood. I'd say a walk in the park, or how about strawberry picking, and then having a picnic with the strawberries, suggested Jason. He had just read Emma again and was clearly taking inspiration from the book. The Gotham Philharmonic is playing Vivaldi this weekend, Tim spoke up. I'll have to check the program, but Four Seasons is always a crowd pleaser, and is considered one of the most romantic symphonic works. Boys, Bruce said, resisting the urge to cover his face with his hands and groan. I haven't called you here to ask for suggestions. They were sitting at the newly added conference table at the Batcave. Dick had insisted that they add a long table to a previously vacant cavern of the Batcave now that there were so many members of the Bat family to be briefed. As Selina didn't have much of an interest in the Bat meetings, as they had been dubbed by Dick, it was the safest place for Bruce to speak to the boys without the chance of Selina overhearing. Bruce steeled himself for what he was about to say next. However, it was very important to reiterate this for the sake of the upcoming mission. Once again, I have called you all here to remind you that I have expressly forbidden you from spying on Selina and I. All the boys looked at him with various degrees of disapproval, bordering on defiance. And if you're going to do that, Bruce, Dick pointed at him accusingly, you can't be trusted. This is your 40th first date with Selina. The first date has to be perfect. Bruce stubbornly stood his ground. It sets the entire tone for the rest of the relationship. Jason openly rolled his eyes at him. You two have been dating for ever already. I bet you were dating before I even got adopted. We were not, Bruce corrected that immediately. Selina and I were completely platonic friends. Bruce received judgmental looks from all three of them. The perfect first date for Selina would be a museum heist. Tim opened up a new topic of discussion. There's a set of paintings stolen from Nazi soldiers during World War II that rightfully belonged to a Jewish family, and no, Selina's gonna do that one with us. Jason cut Tim off with an annoyed glare. And after a pause, Tim realized the same and agreed with him. I retract my statement, Tim stated for the record. How about a jewel heist? Dick suggested with new enthusiasm. Also, Selina loves stealing from the Falcons, and those guys only care about blood diamonds anyway. Maybe combine that. If we're going by what Selina loves to steal the most, that's cats, Jason stated as the highest authority on what Selina liked and disliked. Bruce, find a mistreated jaguar or something to steal. In fact, try to make it an entire pride of mistreated lions. That's definitely Selina's idea of the perfect date. Jason crossed his arms behind his head and leaned back in the chair in satisfaction. No need to thank me. We are not stealing anything for our first date, said Bruce, somewhat alarmed by the boys' suggestions and their consensus on them. No thefts, no heists, and no masks whatsoever. And no spying on our date. All three boys covered their face with their hands and groaned. Bruce's plan was to keep it simple. Simple meant less chance of complications, a romantic dinner, flowers, gratuitous compliments, and some light flirting. And at the end of the night, if all went well, hopefully, a kiss. Objectively, maybe he had gone a little overboard by booking all of the tables of the most exclusive restaurant in Gotham, and maybe a bouquet of roses could have sufficed in lieu of the entire rose garden he had arranged. But they had to do something about all those empty tables around. However, Tim's suggestion of Vivaldi had been a good one. Bruce had hired a string quartet to play Four Seasons in the background while they dined. This is all very romantic, Bruce, Selina told him with a smile, her green eyes sparkling under the romantic candlelight, looking even more beautiful than usual in the elegant dinner dress she was wearing. Bruce pulled out her chair for her and hid his grin of satisfaction. So far, so good. They had only just started on their entrees, Selina laughing at the joke he had prepared in advance, when it was all ruined. Now, Bruce and Selina were tied to the chairs as the highly organized criminal ring of the week held them for ransom. They had caught wind of Gotham's richest citizens booking an entire restaurant for the night, and had, of course, come up with plans to get a big payday. The rest of the staff and musicians had been locked in the kitchen, and Bruce frowned down at their barely eaten plates of food, which had long gone cold. "Our dinner is ruined," Bruce lamented, half playing the part of airhead Bruce Wayne, half genuinely distressed by how their night had turned out. Selina opened her mouth, probably to make an amused quip, but "Shut up!" One of their hostage takers cut her off, threateningly brandishing his gun. And honestly, Bruce was more annoyed by the rude interruption than the hostage situation in general. And he definitely hated that anyone was pointing a gun at Selina, but that was trauma and paralyzing fear that he didn't have time to deal with right now. This was, of course, when the lights went out. "What's going on? Get those lights back on," the leader demanded. The very dramatic appearance of Nightwing was made by his towering silhouette against the large windows along the vaulted ceilings. "You lot better have a darn good reason for interrupting a perfectly good date," Nightwing's voice called out confusingly from all directions. "You assholes have no idea how long we've been waiting for this fucking date to happen," Cardinal added angrily, joining Nightwing's dramatic entrance with one of his own. And exactly as they had trained, the both of them swooped down and began to systematically disarm the armed group before their internal 5-minute timer ended. The lights came back on with all the criminals lying unconscious on the ground. It was the perfect takedown. In any other situation, Bruce would have been proud to have been the one to train them. But the swiftness of how quickly they had arrived only indicated the fact that they had definitely been spying on their date. Within minutes, Nightwing and Cardinal had finished restraining all of the members of the criminal ring with zip ties, effectively disarming the perpetrators and taking care of any potential subsequent threats. "Unlock the kitchen doors and let those poor people out, Cardinal," Nightwing ordered. "Agent A has already called the GCPD. ETA is 6 minutes. "Roger that," Cardinal replied, already on his way to complete the task. "Oh man, Baby Bird was so disappointed when these guys showed up," Nightwing whispered to Bruce and Selina as he cut them out of their restraints. "He appreciated you taking his Vivaldi suggestion, by the way." At his side, Selina suppressed a highly amused laugh, and inwardly, Bruce groaned at the headlines that were sure to be there tomorrow. Nightwing and Cardinal worked together to save Bruce Wayne's date with Selina Kyle, the masked crusaders ship Gotham's favorite couple. Cardinal led the locked-in staff and performers out, and now that everything had been taken care of, Nightwing and Cardinal accepted a few quick thanks before they disappeared into the night, as the first police sirens reached them. After this, "Want to stop by Batburger?" Selina asked him, the both of them knowing that the next couple of hours were going to be spent giving their statements to the police and getting evaluated by the medics for any injuries, and by the end of all that, they would be absolutely starving. Bruce sighed, accepting the conclusion of this date for what it was. "I'll text the boys to ask what they want us to pick up for them." "My hero," Selina teased him, smiling widely up at him before leaning forward to give him a kiss on the cheek. Well, I suppose this hadn't been the worst date then. Alright guys, and that's the end of Date Night by D-Laugh. I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you next video.